So Salinlahi is opposing the return of ROTC either in college or in senior high school.
Yes.
Why is this?
Basically, as child rights advocates who are promoting children's rights, we are very much alarmed with the recent pronouncement of President Duterte to revive our OTC, and because after years of implementation of ROTC, we have seen that there are a lot of problems in terms of implementation, including abuses. That's abuses of students' rights. So that's why we are very much alarmed. And despite the supposed objective of ROTC in terms of instilling the minds of the youth about respect for human rights, nationalism and patriotism, we do not believe that this is also the purpose of President, because with the record of the Duterte government in terms of human rights, as what we have said, the Duterte government do not have an ounce of moral ascendancy to talk about human rights, and as well as nationalism, no? With his subservient attitude towards China that we have witnessed recently. They are not worthy to talk about nationalism.
Just on that point,
Yes.
would any other administration theoretically be worthy, and would you theoretically be more open to if another administration were to propose this?
If there's a bill that calls for the revival of ROTC, there's also another bill that calls for the abolition and strengthening the current program, the NSTP programs, because what we believe as child rights advocates, we can instill among our youth about nationalism without taking up these ROTC programs, which will open or which will put or place our young students vulnerable to abuses and violence.
Congressman, if you don't mind, I mean, when you did when you filed your bill, then I suppose, I mean, along with the preamble and the research, just briefly, a history. I mean, the 30-second version of the history of ROTC in our country. Kailan pa nag-umpisa to?
Well, we have Commonwealth Act number 1, the National Defense Law, as the mother of ROTC program, where the people, the armed forces of the Philippines is a citizen army. And from that point, which the National Defense Act was 1935. In fact, I even have another bill amending it. ROTC has been around for quite some time, and it was abolished because of the case in UST where a student got killed. It was one case which resulted in the abolition. But I think that the benefits of having military training is not just on the inculcation of nationalism or patriotism. The principal purpose is for us to have a standby force which we may call upon when needed. Back then, the mindset was for mobilization as a military force in response to an attack or war if needed. But nowadays, even the AFP itself has already had a new direction, which is the preparation for humanitarian assistance, mobilization during disasters and calamities. So they have another role. So we are also looking at the return of military training in school as another way of us having a ready force that can be mobilized during calamities and disasters.
So I asked that just to basically point out that the objectives and the rationale and the appreciation for it has in fact changed over the decades, diba? Can't we just see, for example, the NSTP? It doesn't look military at all, but isn't it in fact still part of that evolution? I mean, talking about, you know, letting our youth have a sense of service depending on their specializations and so on. I know kids are teaching, they're doing research for LGUs, they're doing heritage. I mean, architecture students are doing architectural heritage studies. I mean, can't we see NSTP as still an evolution of that tradition?
Well, I have two sons. Now, my first son already graduated college. He underwent NSTP. He chose civil service. My second son is in college now. He just completed his NSTP course. He also chose civil service. And I'm aware of the exposure that they've had in extending social services. But the field of in the field of the military training, there's another aspect that I think is needed for one, the response force in case of a national emergency requiring military action, and during disasters and calamities. Ang pagkakaiba kasi dito, pagka nag-military training ka, di ba, ang concept ng military training is yung following orders, organization, leadership. Because in times like that, no, either military action because of a conflict or response in disaster and calamities, you need a force that can easily move as needed. So, to me, that's the value of having the military training. Some people say drills are useless and pointless, but actually the purpose of the drills is to inculcate quick action in response to orders, which is needed during calamities and disasters.